Hey, good evening and welcome to LWL Hartford. Here we are on May 30th, 2018, and we're here in the iconic Stilts building at 20 Church Street in downtown Hartford, and we're at the Upward Hartford facility, which opened up last fall. And we have on live feed, we're looking at her right now, Shauna Schlossberg, who's the founder of this enterprise, and we'll be getting into that in a moment. Let me first tell you what LWL Hartford is. LWL Hartford stands for Living, Working, Loving Hartford and its Knowledge Corridor region. We adhere to the definition of Knowledge Corridor region put forth by New England's Knowledge Corridor Partnership, which is it's a 7-county bi-state region, including what we normally call the Metro Hartford, Springfield, New Haven market. It's the 20th largest market in the United States. It's about comparable in size to Denver and St. Louis. And it has a population over 2.77 million people. The purpose of the organization is to foster economic growth and enhance the cultural and other aspects of the city of Hartford and its Knowledge Corridor region. And we've been doing these monthly speaking engagements for approximately 6 years in time. I'm Peter DeMalia. I'm an urban planner and a president of Design Professionals in South Windsor. I'm a member of the steering committee. Other members of the steering committee are Jennifer Cassidy, over here. Jennifer's waving. Jennifer is executive director of business for downtown Hartford and also an advocate for the Asylum Hill neighborhood in Hartford. She resides in the city. Let's see, is Jim Boucher here? Not right now, but Jim Boucher, oh yes, he is. Thank you, Jim. Jim Boucher is an executive with Capital Workforce Partners, which is a workforce development board for the Hartford region, advocating for all the employment interests, labor interests in the city and the surrounding communities. He's been in this organization since its inception. Dr. Tom Swar, right here in the front. Dr. Swar, until recently, was just teaching graduate level at Yale University. He's taught at other institutions in the area, and he's an engineer as well. He's a resident of the city of Hartford. Who else is here? Anyone else? Am I missing anyone? Oh yes, Yanil Tiran is in the front. She's executive director of Center for Latino Progress on Park Street, and she's a resident of South Windsor, as am I. So that's the steering. Oh, Jeff Stewart is not here. He's with Connecticut Department of Transportation, and he's a city resident, and he is an advocate for the oldest municipal airport in the United States, Brainerd Airport, in the South Meadows of Hartford. So we gather monthly. Our format is we have a speaker come on, introduce their topic, and then we go into Q&A, and then if we have time, we'll continue on with networking after the presentation. I'd like to just mention to you, next month, we're going to have a presentation by Lime Bikes, Scott Mullen from Lime Bikes. That's a new service that's starting up in the city. Lime-colored bicycles, I guess that's where the name came from. And so they're going to start out with a launch of 300 bicycles, some sharing bicycle enterprise. We're going to learn about that. They'll be on Wednesday, Wednesday, June 27th, which is the last Wednesday in the month, as we typically do. And that will be held at Spotlight Theaters in downtown Hartford, 39 Front Street, which is our venue, default venue, and they've been very accommodating to us. So that will be 5:30 to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, June 27th, where we'll have a presentation by Scott Mullen from Lime Bikes. So what I'd next like to do, we need to get onto Shauna. This is called a Zoom video, by the way, what they're doing here. This is a high-tech place we're here. It's wide open. Those of you in Hartford Public Access TV is filming this, recording this for future broadcasts in the near term. And what you can't see right now, although I imagine they'll be filming other parts of it later. This is a wide open space here. They have multiple levels, including, I think you're going onto the 17th floor before not too long. But in the iconic Stilts building here in the mezzanine level. This floor and one above. Let me give you a little bio for Shauna. She's a serial entrepreneur who is passionate about Hartford's potential. She has 16 years of experience directing a broad range of technology initiatives in the internet, media, telecom, and emergency services industry. She founded EasyBZ in 2011 with the goal of creating an efficient and fair platform which uses innovative technology to connect consumers and local businesses in real time. She's also the founder and CEO of Upward Hartford, where we are right now, 27,000 square feet high-tech hub with a goal of providing an ecosystem for the area's entrepreneurial and startup communities. Prior to founding EasyBZ, she was founder and CEO of Israel Now, a chain of 40 local news websites in Israel, which offered comprehensive advertising, marketing, and PR solutions for more than 25,000 local and small businesses in Israel. Earlier in her career, she was a senior business analyst at HP, and I think we'll go with that right now. If she wants to add on anything further, we'll allow her to do that. She is video streaming, Zoom videos they call it, from next to the United Nations, as I understand it. And so hopefully the technology works, and we'll turn it over to Shauna. And when you're done, we'll do a little Q&A if you have time. Thank you, Shauna.
Absolutely. It's so nice to be here, and I appreciate that I can be here through remote video. We are a tech hub, so when we got into a situation where I couldn't be in the city, we said, we'll do it in the tech way. So you guys are sitting in our baby in Upper Hartford, which was built as a beautiful innovation hub where things can start and things can happen in Hartford. The center, the nucleus from which awesomeness can happen. But the reason we started with this is I visited the city a little over 2 years ago, and I knew very little about Hartford. I'm not originally from Hartford. I'm from New York. As you read so nicely in my resume, traveled all over the world, did projects all over the world, and chance saw it to bring me for an event to Hartford. And I stepped for the first time in the room where you're in. This was a little over 2 years ago. The room was raw. It used to be a television studio. There was nothing. There was no floor. There was no ceiling. There was definitely no furniture, no design. And something happened to me. I said, wow, this is incredible. The vastness of the space touched me in such it drove me to say, this is something can happen here. There's magic in this city. And it drove me to start researching about Hartford. And I don't have to tell you what you already know about Hartford, a city that was one of the most successful and richest cities in America for many, many years, and kind of crashed from grace. And I said, this is interesting. I spent my life in New York, in Silicon Valley, in Silicon Beach, in Santa Monica, in Tel Aviv. I spent my life in the big cities. That's not really America. Hartford is America. Cities that used to be grand, with industries that used to be grand, and then somehow they couldn't reinvent themselves. They couldn't move into the future. And if we don't fix them quickly, they will, they'll become graveyards. What do? This is a call to action of an entire group that says enough already. We love our country. We have to make the change. New York is not enough anymore for New York to be perfect and amazing. We have to look at cities like Hartford and say, what do? And I got some good minds at the table, and we decided to build a brand called Upper Cities. What if we said we can create a new classification of a city? There's first tier, there's second tier, there's third tier. What if we can create a new type of city called an upward city? A city that got stuck, but will kind of jump years of being stuck and project quickly into the future in 2 or 3 years and become a city that is recognized on the map, a city that people are talking about all over the world, all because of tech. And that was our hypothesis. And we said, how do we make it happen? And we built a plan in 3 steps. We said, step number 1, where are all the people? There's great industry in this town. There are insurance companies. There are very smart people. There's talented people. There's young kids in the universities. There's young talent working at insurance companies. We didn't see anyone on the street. We didn't know where they were all gathering. And we knew right away that we need to build a physical location where people can gather. And you guys are gathering in this physical location now. It took us about a year of planning and then a year of building, and many millions of dollars, and a lot of investors who were willing to take a risk. And we said, we will build a place that will be so amazing and so gorgeous, and something that no one would expect in Hartford, a city where people traveling the world would see in the Silicon Valley, or would see in Tel Aviv, or would see in London and say, wow, we like to be in a location like this. It's open, it's exciting, it's colorful. And we said, we're not going to build a co-working space. We're going to build an innovation hub. What does that mean? With a physical location, we're going to build a community. So we pulled in artists, and we started doing art show, and we pulled in a musician and started doing open mic nights and live music, and we pulled in the dancers and started doing dance nights. And we pulled rolled up an insurance folk and started doing insurtech nights around IoT and artificial intelligence and every new technology, blockchain and cybersecurity. That was for us to create that community. And our community grew, and every day someone else is added to the community who's more different than the one before. It could be kids who are, high school kids that are interning. It could be university students who, and so many different majors who are doing something in our space. It could be startups from all over the world that's here and saying, wow, this is very exciting. There's a hub in Hartford, and I want to sell to the insurance companies. I finally have a place to come and set up. And we started, after we started building the space in the community, our next phase was to build an ecosystem. So an ecosystem has many players, and I just mentioned some of them. The insurance companies were major players for us, and other corporations, UTC, Pratt & Whitney, the hospitals, all the things that made Hartford really great, all the things that make Hartford incredible and amazing, and the real assets of Hartford, we're going to group together in this space. And we're going to put together at that table the universities who may not have conversed and interacted before, and we will force them to interact and work together. And we will bring startups from all over the world. And we started this we opened our space in September 1st. And now we are sitting, I'm sure you'll have time to tour the space, but it's an incredible space. In the space you're in, there's a capacity of about 100 co-workers. On the other side of the space, there's an insurtech accelerator operating. We have offices on the top floor. We have startups and established companies and corporates, and everyone's kind of mixing and together. And that's really was step number 1 for us. Step number 2, we said, if everyone is at the table and everyone understands that this is a city that needs fixing, this is a city that needs to start working for us, this is a city that needs to start working for the companies, the insurance companies who are using it as a cheaper back office to Boston, New York, and it's not working for them because they can't hire anymore. This is a city for parents. I hear parents every day telling me, my kids aren't willing to stay. My kids are just trying to get out of here. I wish they had job opportunities there. I wish they can stay. These are for people that remember the good days. Remember, wow, what happened? We were a grand city. We were a city that, and still has multiple Fortune 500 companies. Why are we a city that no one talks about? Why are we a city that, if you even check Google, it only has to do with bankruptcy? Why are we a city that is not talked about like London or Berlin or Tel Aviv or New York? What are we missing? And the funny thing is we realize we're missing nothing. We just have to get these people who really never really talked before. And in our experience, I know that obviously there were times they were, but to get in the same place, to start working together and to start building solutions together and say, now that everyone's understanding what the agenda is, now that everyone wants the same thing, let's start bringing the developers. Let's build a city. Our city is missing basic infrastructure, like residential. It's basic infrastructure like supermarkets, retail, basic retail that it doesn't have. People can't live in this city. It's the young kids, the millennial population, which everyone is kind of going after because this is what the insurance want as employees. This is what if you have kids, these are the age your kids are at. This is what brings the life into a city. The next generation don't want to be here. They want to live in a cool apartment on top of a bar and in front of a cafe and go downstairs to an indoor market. They want to have fun. And we don't have fun. So, and not because we don't know how to have fun. There's nothing different from anyone in this room and to someone in New York or someone in Silicon Valley. But there, the ambiance, the experience is all about live, work, play. You work hard, you play hard, everything is awesome. And in Hartford, it isn't. And that was really our goal, how to build a city. Because the core points we have great universities, we have great corporates, startups from all over the world are wanting to come live in Hartford, but there's things that are missing. And our mission was, let's build an entire city with everything that's involved in it. So our 2017, we built the space you're in, we built a community from 0 to today, close to probably 7,000 or 8,000. This year, we're working on ecosystem. In the last year alone, I brought 10 companies to set up their operations in Hartford, 10 startups. We have the accelerator that's operating. They have a cohort of 10 startups. 5 of them are staying in town and setting up operations. They're now preparing for their next cohort. There'll be one every year in the space, every time 10 more startups. We have delegations. We have a cybersecurity delegation coming from Israel that selected Hartford as their first spot, not Boston, not New York, Hartford, because they said, Shauna can get every insurer in the room. We want to be there. So these are the things we're doing. 2018 is all about ecosystem for us. And every person is playing a part in this ecosystem. Every person that is in this audience is can play a part in the ecosystem if they're not. There's so many ways to get involved. There's so much. We are working. We're not talking. Our sleeves are up and we're solving problems every single day. And the next step, what we're talking now in 2018 is how to start spending the big dollars in the city, how to build a brand new city, a city that works for the people we want it to work for, the people we want to attract. And that's upward, that's the upward mission in a nutshell.
Wonderful, Shauna. That came through loud and clear. Now we're going to go to Q&A if you still have time.
Shauna, tell me 3 or 4 ideas, concrete ideas that you think are important for moving forward in accomplishing your mission in 2018.
So if I heard correctly, you're asking from practical ideas to accomplish my mission. Just reading. Yes. So again, I made some of the things, when I first came into town and I started talking this way, everyone walked around and said, is she for real? I've never heard someone actually speak and say and do these things. A year later, and it's not a question in anyone's mind. They know I'm for real. I put in, $4 million was put into the project you're sitting in. This is not a joke. We are 100%, we are 100% for real. We are serious. Everything we're doing and it's a lot of money is being put into this. We need to create a space, an experience that is different. So a lot of the things we're already doing that are not part of the master plan are just being that intersection. Today, any day of the week, corporates are in our space. Every day of the week. Today, 2 international startups, one via Zoom like this, and one physically came to talk with me and the group that I work with in the state of Connecticut. They're both setting up offices in Hartford. We need more startups. We need to get the word out there every day. I'm all the time talking and meeting about, there's a city called Hartford, and there is, I'll tell you an interesting story. In November, we hosted a delegation of digital health startups from Israel. 23 digital health startups came. They had never heard about Hartford. They knew nothing. But they did hear of Cigna, and they did hear of Aetna, and they did hear of United Healthcare, and Travelers, and the Hartford. And every single one of the corporates was in our space taking one-on-one meetings with these startups. 4 startups closed pilots. One of them just applied for a mega grant in Israel, and with Cigna is about to be approved. That is going to be a major headline in Israel because the Bird Foundation, which is a nonprofit that works between Israeli startups and American corporations, has never worked with Cigna. And guess where they found Cigna? In good old little tiny nothing Hartford. Who would have thought? The Bird Foundation works with every corporate in America because they couldn't crack Cigna. This is the type of PR that is coming out. It's not expensive. It didn't cost us anything. I held an event. It takes a lot of energy, but it didn't cost millions of dollars. Now Cigna is talking, wow, new things are coming out of Hartford for us. This is a company we want to maintain, right? It's very important. On the other hand, Israeli startups are now telling each other. Today, the word in Israel is you want to get to the insurance companies, you need to go through Upward Hartford. So that's the messaging that is already starting. These are things we're already doing. These are not things I will do. But the things we need to do is, like I said, we need to build a new city. I'm now in initial talks with partners, with funds, to spend up to $1 billion in downtown Hartford, literally, to start development. Because some of you know the new developments in Washington, D.C., in Chicago, in Battery Park in New York, what is not new anymore, but 10 years ago, when entire little micro cities were built. That is what we want to build in Hartford. So we are talking with the insurers because they're going to be corporate partners to this. We're talking to the politicians. We're talking to funds who will be putting in the money, with the large amounts of money for this. And all this is happening, and everyone's willing to listen just because of the work we did in the last year. Because they say, what? Startups want to come to Hartford? That's so weird. We never would have imagined. Startups are willing. I said, yeah, they're willing to come in the numbers. Hundreds are willing to come. But we need a better environment for them. You know, we don't want to bring them and then they'll leave. We don't get anything of that. So we're bringing them in smaller numbers, like piloting, testing things out. And as the numbers grow, we start putting in more money, building in more supporting infrastructure. And then I want in 3 years to Hartford be like another Silicon City. I was part of the first cohort in Santa Monica, in Silicon Beach, when a call went around the world to entrepreneurs and said a new city's being built on a beach with Hollywood money. Get over here. And we don't have that plane. I was in a co-working space with 100 entrepreneurs just like myself who were starting their company. And we all sat and worked and complained and you know, hung out, had fun, drank together, worked together, whatever we did. And some of them are famous companies we now have on our market. And Silicon Beach today is a thriving hub where Google's ad and Snapchat and Uber. This is what we want to do in Hartford. And this is what we're starting to do in Hartford. I probably have time for one more question, and then I unfortunately will have to run. If there is.
Yes. Do you connect with the local neighborhood leaders and think about how their projects might fit with your vision?
That's a really good question, and you know, the simple truth is that our energy and time is finite. I'm already working 18 hours a day, and I wish I had time to meet with everyone and sit with everyone. So do I meet with every neighborhood leader? Unfortunately, I can't. I don't have time to do that because there's so much work to do, and everyone is understaffed. We definitely have partners and strong partners in the space. We work very closely with the state of Connecticut, very closely with the city of Hartford, and with Connecticut Innovations. In different areas, we have more partners in our space. Like I said, Startup Bootcamp, which runs the accelerator, is a very strong partner of ours. I think in many cases, we're moving quicker, we're more bold, we're more like, you know, the Silicon energy that we want to bring into the city. And for some community leaders, they don't understand that. It's foreign to them. They want to move slower. They want to move in certain directions. And we're disruptive. If you had to describe me in one word and our whole operation, it's disruptive. We like to make noise. We like to move things, and we like to do it fast. So we are welcoming anyone to come on board and anyone to come work with us. And we thrive to be and try to be as inclusive as possible. In some cases, it's just not possible because if every single person is at the table, usually nothing happens. And entrepreneurs, and serial entrepreneurs like myself, will work with everyone, won't wait for anyone. So if people want to join the bandwagon, you're all invited. I have my wonderful team there. You can speak to Samantha and ask how to get involved. But since this is all driven by private money, there's not, in Hartford, the whole model, there's no state money, there's no city money. And we're a private organization, and we answer only really to our investors because, you know, we have to make money, we have to move things. We're not an organization that may get a grant again next year. We won't. Investors will either receive their money back or we're in trouble. So it's a little bit of a different operation. But once again, we're willing to work with everyone, and we want the more the merrier, because at phase one, the space you're in, we really kept it small and just ran with it. Phase two, the bigger picture is very big, and we need as many friends as we can, and as many people working, and you know, as many ambassadors as possible. So we welcome any cooperation. I'm glad we can make this happen, and it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you guys tonight.
And thank you, Shauna.
Thank you so much.
Samantha, do you think you could come up? Perhaps we can field a few more questions. Maybe you can describe a little bit further the space we have here. Why don't we start with that?
Okay, we are a 27,500 square foot co-working space, event space, meeting space, and private office space.
Are you just referring to this space?
This space and the second floor, so I'll be happy to provide a tour afterwards. I think that would be great. You did touch on our 17th floor expansion. I was up there today and we are almost finished. We have the furniture now, it's very exciting. So we'll have 5 additional training and conference rooms on the 17th floor, capacities of different sizes, but very modern, very new age, writable walls. You can write on all of the desks. Everything's on wheels. You can do cluster work, design thinking, agile workspace. I'm sure I'll have requests for yoga balls and all the other things that go up there. But we're really excited about that expansion. When we opened our doors, we thought, and I wasn't here when they opened the doors, so I'm speaking out of turn, but I was told they assumed everyone would come running in for co-working because that's what they do in New York and Austin and Atlanta and Chicago and pretty much every other large city in America. And here they were like, I don't know about co-working, but we're used to having conferences and meetings. So we said, okay, conferences and meetings, that's a staple. And our conference and meeting space demand grew astronomically. Our co-working space has grown organically through that. People see the energy and they enjoy having meetings in this type of setting versus the closed door. So some of our meetings that started as an 8-person conference room say, you know, we don't want the walls of a conference room anymore. We'll just have the meeting downstairs. So we've organically grown, but that has been the largest demand. So because of that demand, we needed more meeting space. And so we took space on the 17th floor and we'll be unveiling that next week. Our first reservation upstairs is June 6th, so we'll be ready to go on June 6th for that. Very excited for that. Yes?
Are you working collaboratively with other groups, such as Church and Startup Boot Camp?
Yes. Question is, are we working collaboratively with other groups? We have one accelerator who's been in our space since January. That is Startup Boot Camp, or it's Hartford InsurTech Hub, powered by Startup Boot Camp. And they're a global organization. I'm sure you're familiar with that. They have signed on, we believe, 2 more cohorts next year. We have 10 people staying on board with that accelerator, even after the accelerator's over. Those are just 10 employees of the Hartford InsurTech Hub. We have 5 companies staying from the Startup Boot Camp that are staying in Hartford and staying and growing their business in Hartford. They will be staying in our space, which is exciting to us. We don't care where they stay. We just want them in Hartford. We want them to hire from Hartford and establish in Hartford and find a reason to stay put in Hartford 2 years from now. Like she said, we don't want them starting their business and then leaving. That's not the goal. And a lot of the money that she's bringing in from these investors, they're not necessarily Connecticut investors, but she's having conversations with these guys saying, okay, let's say you're a New York investor or a Boston investor. I don't want any of this money being invested if you think you're going to take them back to your state. And they don't want to. Their money goes much further in Hartford. They want Hartford to be a good bridge between, not just only Boston or only New York. They want the in-between because it gives them more options and value too. Other partners, like she said, many of the corporate accounts in the neighborhood. You see our wall of Upward Citizens, if you are curious, of just a few of our partners over there. She works with CT Next and Connecticut Innovations on a daily basis. She literally was meeting with 2 startup companies just before she hopped in her car to drive to New York to get into a WeWork, to conference in with you guys, and then to hop over to the United Nations in probably 4 minutes. So she's very passionate about it. Any other questions? I believe it will. I'm sorry, the train connecting from New Haven to Hartford. So what is it called? The City Rail, I believe? Hartford Line, I'm sorry, the Hartford Line. The word we hear is it will make a big difference. I don't know, I mean, until it goes all the way to Boston, then we won't know. But she says, we want them to build the train to Hartford from Boston. We're not going to Boston. They're coming here. So she feels very strongly about the infrastructure in this city, and I'm not privy to all of the plans that she's discussing, but I know that public transportation is a big part of that. So she is working very closely with them.
Okay. We'll do a tour,
yes,
if we may.
please.
Let me just wrap up a few things. First of all, I'd like to thank Shauna Schlossberg and also Samantha Wanagal. Thank you, Samantha, for assisting us. I'd like to thank Gil Martinez and HPA-TV. They'll be online with this program. It's broadcast. It should be within a few days, today being the 30th of May. So hopefully you can get that, and you can secure that by going to hpatv.org. We'd like to thank them. We'd like to thank our usual venue sponsor, which is Spotlight Theater and Front Street Bistro, and previously it was Infinity Music Hall. We thank them both, and hopefully you'll be able to patronize them. So coming up in the month of June, mark your calendars, June 16th, we're talking about mass transit. Will it have an effect on this? On June 16th, we're launching a commuter rail line servicing Metro Hartford, Springfield, New Haven, otherwise known as New England's Knowledge Corridor. It will have 17 round-trip trains per day between Hartford and New Haven, and another 12 round-trip trains between Hartford and Springfield. And that will expand, the 17 round-trip trains between New Haven and Hartford will expand to 25 trains daily as demand warrants. And then people can, in New Haven, get service all the way down to Manhattan. That'll be very important. One thing they're not doing is, at this point, although they hope they would initially and they're not, that was to get on a train in Hartford and keep your same seat and go all the way into Manhattan. That's not happening as I understand it. Hopefully it will as time progresses. So mark your calendars on that. We know the CT Fast Track, which is a bus rapid transit line, 9.3 mile line between New Britain and Hartford, which launched a couple of years ago, is attracting millions of passengers every year. So it's a unbridled success. So that's, hopefully we'll see some form of success with the Hartford line as well, starting June 16th. I won't be around here for that launch, but hopefully it'll go very well, and I'll come back and take a ride on the train. Right now, I think there are about 350,000 people taking the corridor on Amtrak, so that'll grow to, they're estimating within a couple of years ago to 750,000 passengers over the next few years, just utilizing CT Rail's Hartford line between New Haven through Hartford to Springfield. Oh, and one other comment, access to Boston. I know New England's Knowledge Corps Partnership has taken a position in support of that, but there is a proposal to extend Boston's commuter rail line. Right now it ends in Worcester, to extend that out to Springfield, another 45 miles. It's in its early stages. We have endorsed it, other parties have endorsed it, including in the city of Boston, but that would help New York, New Haven, Hartford, Springfield, Worcester, and Boston, and everybody in between, if we can accomplish that. That's a little longer term plan, but hopefully we can get that moving along. That's a critical element to bringing everything together for Hartford. And then before you get to UC, and then the other thing is on Wednesday, June 27th, last Wednesday in the month, at Spotlight Theaters, we're going to have speaker Scott Mullen, and he'll be addressing us on Line Bikes, the bicycle sharing system that's coming up. This is what attracts the young entrepreneurs, things like mass transit and bicycle sharing programs, etc. And they're going to launch with 300 bicycles initially. They're lime-colored bicycles, and we're going to be hearing from Scott Mullen. He is I think he's the manager for development in the New England region for Lime Bikes. So he's very excited about launching a new program in Hartford, and we'll hear him at Spotlight Theaters on the 27th of June from 5:30 to 7. So hopefully you can be there. And as always, LWL Hartford is free. And we don't want your money, because then we'll have to track it, and we don't want to have to track it. So don't try to give us a penny. Any further questions? C in the back?
I just want to say that a rail is free the first. And the weekend, the 16th and 17th is completely free.
What C. Peterson just indicated, for those of you who couldn't hear because she has a mic right now, she just indicated that the yes. So opening weekend, it's free for Hartford Rail, Hartford line. Anything further, Greg?
What's the status of expanding Fast Track east of the river?
They have expanded CT Fast Track east of the river. It now goes out to services Yukon. It stores. However, it doesn't have the circulator routes all along it, very limited. It doesn't go through Manchester, go through East Hartford, go through South Windsor, and all those other communities. That's the next phase. It's not funded at this time. It's a matter of funding and priorities. So haven't seen it. I'd like to see it go throughout the region, but we have to set our priorities, especially the state's going through a fiscal crisis, as we all know. But they're getting through it.